Hi, LinkedIn family. Jonathan here from Some Talented People, and we're continuing our discussion. And yesterday we left you with the idea that the fear of the unknown is what stops people from progressing in the way that their businesses could. And I challenged Max and I said, well, actually, we know the things that can go horribly wrong. And he pointed out quite rightly that it's the permutation, it's the way these things occur that can throw you. So, what I'd like to do today is to go around our panel, and I want a strategy to overcome one of the knowns that we know go horribly wrong. So to identify the problem and then tell people that are watching a way around it, a way of reframing it, or whatever you want to do your thing. Who wants to go first? Don't all jump in.
I will go first. I think the first thing to say is there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns.
You're not
so I it's getting complicated. An unknown unknown would have been a pandemic, obviously. None of us saw that coming. And then there are things that are more known. So those might be risks or weaknesses that might hold us back from achieving our business vision.
So pick one and tell me what someone can do practically today.
So basically, where we're talking about the more known unknowns, this still requires out of the box thinking. So coming together as a team, if you have a team and saying, okay, what do we anticipate are going to be the issues that might stop us reaching our business vision? Out of that, you will probably come up with a list of things that might happen or would need to be resolved in order to give you the best chance of getting there. And then what you do with those risks is bulletproof them.
Right. So at the moment,
can I just finish?
Sure.
So to come back to something that was mentioned earlier, which is overwhelm. When you're growing really fast, it can be overwhelming. So having a plan in place of how you're going to scale, when you're going to bring more people into your team, etc., can help with that as well. And it's also something that would start to bulletproof those risks.
When you say bulletproof, what do you mean?
Literally, if you think about, let's put it into an analogy, you're wearing a bulletproof vest. So when the bullets are coming at you, which are the risks, the known unknowns, you're wearing your vest and you're more protected against those risks killing you. You being your business vision.
And is that as a result of the planning that you're advocating?
I advocate planning, but I advocate agile planning.
Okay.
So I actually hate business plans, for 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. I think having a vision for 5 years is great. Trying to do a business plan that will cover every step in the next 5 years is just impractical. So plans should be short-term, medium-term, and have this longer-term vision.
Yeah. Okay, so in the
strategy, sorry, I was going to say, because you're asking about the strategies to deal with these things, these risks and these unknowns, is for me what I find works is to stop and walk away, and just temporarily, by the way. I think if you get overwhelmed, as you're saying, if you get overwhelmed and you're thinking, oh shit, there's a lot of stuff going on here, I don't know how I'm going to deal with it, that can consume you, can consume your mind, and you start thinking very in a linear way. If you stop what you're doing, go outside, go ride your bike, go and talk to friends, do something completely unrelated, you'll find that when you come back, you might actually have a decent idea. And for me, anyway, 9 times out of 10, that works.
So
and that's a really good point, because you know, when you do that, you go into alpha brainwave state, which is the more creative brainwave state that will allow you to have those kind of ideas and solutions that just drop into your head.
How do you achieve that alpha brainwave state then? So Max has given us a couple of examples. What else can we do?
So I very much say find what works for you. For some people, that's meditation. Other people hate meditation. For some people, it's exercise. For some people, it's having a bath or reading. But I mean, the number of people I've talked to that said, I had this wonderful idea whilst I was having a shower. There's a reason for that. It's because you're in that relaxed brainwave state rather than going into that kind of more stressy state where you're like, oh God, there's this horrible problem. I have to fix it.
That's very interesting, actually. There's a TED talk, Amy Cuddy, talking about the way people identify as stress as either being damaging or as a superpower. And in the talk, she says that they studied these people over 8 years and then got the death reports. And people who had a high level of stress had a 2 or 3 times greater chance of dying, but only if they believed stress was damaging. So this mindset thing is clearly very important. Sydney, given your meteoric rise of late, what is it allows you to think in this way?
I think with regard to the whole sort of fear of the unknown and the known unknowns and things like that, I think it's quite ironic because people always say I'm quite a negative person. I'm not. I'm realistic. But I think when I think of like unknowns and these things essentially happen, why does that unknown have to be a negative thing that's going to happen? Why can't a fear of an unknown be a positive thing? So like, for instance, my life in the past sort of 2 years or year has been completely controlled by unknown things. It was not planned whatsoever. The business wasn't planned. This was not the route I was going down. But because of the pandemic, it happened to be. But I've made it work and I've moved forward. And actually, it's probably a massive positive. And it's made me realise what I do want to do. And I think, you know, the fear of the unknown, it's more, rather than the fear of the unknown, it's the fear of change. Because even if we're in kind of what we think is a happy and sort of successful state, something may happen that we haven't, you know, that we're scared for it to happen and we haven't perceived it happening. But you might find that 6 months down the line, you're actually like, oh, that was a really good thing. That was a really, you know, anything, you know, if you lose your house, if you break up with someone or whatever, at the time it feels awful, but later down the line you kind of think, oh, actually I'm so much better off having that had have happened. So I don't know.
That is, I should go to Paul because I know he's excited to comment on that, is absolutely classic reframing. Paul, go to work.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney's absolutely right. It's the way you react to problems. And Sarah made the point earlier on that she doesn't believe in 5-year business plans. Nor do I. I mean, you can put together a business plan for 3 years. You're still stretching it. The key, though, is to really completely revisit where you are on a regular basis. And the American Air Force came up with a system called the OODA loop, OODA. It's observe, orient, decide, and act. It was developed for fighter pilots, but if you apply it within your business planning, it means that you're going back to your plans on a regular basis. You're observing where you are, you're orienting where you need to go. You decide what you need to do to change direction, and then you act. And it's a loop. So it's a continuous thing that you do. And if you can do that, then you're scanning the peripheries of what's happening. You know, Max mentioned earlier on about seeing something on the horizon. It's also equally important to look at markets that are next to you. What's happening in that next market?